Everyone, I'm Brandon Altenburg, and I'm applying for your sport club coordinator position at Virginia Tech. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, lived there my whole life, went to undergrad an hour down the road at Madison for 4 years, business major, worked the rec department in competitive sports for all 4 years, loved it so much. I decided to become a graduate assistant of competitive sports at Washington State University and pursue a master's degree in sport management, which is where I'm currently at, actually graduating 2 weeks from yesterday. Some of my personal interests are I love to read. I've actually got the Game of Thrones book here. New episodes out tonight. Band of Brothers actually finished on the way back from NURSA. Love that book. I also love the outdoors. Got a headlamp here and a day pack. I lead trips on the side for WSU as well. Just led a trip down to Yosemite National Park for spring break. Also, like probably everyone in this field, absolutely love sports. Grew up a huge Packers, Badgers, Brewers, Badgers, and Bucks fan. That's not going to change anytime soon. So that's a little bit about me. I'm interested in your position because I see clubs as really, of any area in campus rec, the biggest growth opportunity. I think student development needs to become even more of a focus of our field than it already is, and clubs offer a great chance for that because it is, like you all know, students really in charge of their own small businesses, running their own organizations, dealing with all those problems and individuals and people that go along with that. So that's why I love clubs. Virginia Tech interests me because it's always had a strong reputation of being a fantastic school, and I want to work at a school that has phenomenal students and phenomenal staff and programs. And also, that part of the country is a place I've never lived, and I'd like to be able to explore the outdoors and the Appalachians in that area. Finally, talking to Kelly and Krista at NURSA really sold me on Virginia Tech as being a place I'd really like to work because of how obvious it was how passionate they were about their jobs and the school and the program and how much focus is put on student development within sport clubs. The second question on my own leadership development experience, we have student staff training, sport club officer training, and sport club coaches training beginning of each semester here at WSU, and I made it a point to lead every part of those trainings at least once over my last 2 years, 4 semesters here. So with those, they focus on everything from communication to teamwork to problem solving, to inclusion, to risk management, and then we have reviews of those modules throughout the semester and the year for our student staff. So they get to review them and to talk about them more and how it actually affects their job as they're working throughout the year. So that's the main focus of our student staff throughout the year in our staff trainings. For clubs, after the initial officer training and a coach training, we don't have a ton of formalized leadership development throughout the year, but something I did for UCLA this past summer at an internship was my supervisor wanted me to create a professional development series for sport club officers. So what I did was I made 7 designed to be 1 to 2 hour modules for an evening every other week or every month throughout the year, and it'd be optional for sport club officers to attend. But the topics were things that were designed to help them not only become better officers, but also help them in the long term, whatever career field they end up in. So those topics included event management, marketing, nutrition, athletic training, group facilitation, transferring your skills as a sport club officer to pretty much any field after graduation. And then the last one was, community service were the 7. So that's something I put a lot of time into this summer and developed, and my supervisor was really excited about it, and they're going to implement it there for their sport club officers. I see that you all do something like that in your handbook, and I'd like to continue that, as well as develop a sport club exec board, a sport club council, which would be 5 to 9 student officers that help kind of be the governing body for the sport club program and be a student voice in the program. Third question regarding challenges I see for this position and for sport clubs in general over the next 5 years, it would be a change for me to be the sole frontline professional for all those clubs. Currently at WSU, we have 2 full-time coordinators and 3 GAs oversee our sport club program. So going from that to being the one coordinator with assistant director would be a challenge initially for me, but I'd be excited for it. I've been fortunate enough to work for 4 different sport club programs over my time as an undergrad and graduate assistant in campus rec, and I'd be excited to see, how I can pull the best ideas and the best processes from all those programs and make Virginia Tech's program that much better. And reading through your manual, it seems like you have an awesome setup already. It's incredibly well developed. I agree with a lot of what's in there. So that would be exciting for me to see how a program like yours really does things. The other thing that might be a challenge for me would be the smaller student staff group. I'm used to having 20 to 30 student supervisors help us oversee our sport club practices and events. It sounds like you all have 6 right now. We can have 8 next semester. So that'd be a smaller group, but it'll also be a chance for me to work one-on-one more closely with each of those students and really get to know them on a professional level. For sport club programs in the next 5 years, I see the big thing being risk management. Depending on the school, sport clubs operate far away from the rec department or athletics, or really closely involved with them. And I think going forward, they're going to have to be more and more closely tied to the school. Things like concussions, travel safety, inclusion of all student athletes are all things that are going to have to, sport programs are going to have to make sure they're able to do for their sport club teams and athletes and programs. Concussion is a big one, I think, with a lot of our clubs. You've got lacrosse and hockey and rugby and soccer, where concussions are becoming more and more prevalent, unfortunately, or at least the reporting of them are. So that's something that I think we need to really train our sport club officers and safety officers to be able to track and make sure their players are safe when they're competing. Other things I see as being big issues going forward are funding. With the cost of higher ed being debated, nationwide politically, unfortunately, I think student affairs, maybe rec, could be one of the areas where funding starts to decrease. That makes it more important for sport clubs to go out and find their own funding, whether it's sponsorships or an alumni base, things like that. I see you all have sponsorships for your whole program, which is awesome. I think the hotel idea is fantastic, both for your own hotels in Blacksburg, but also if your clubs are traveling to these hotel chains, they can get a discount there. And I think our crew team WCU has a huge alumni base. They get like $40,000 a year from them. So that areas like that are ways I could see sport clubs really benefiting in finding their own funding. Your fourth question is actually one of the things I love most about this field. Having students constantly in the office and constantly asking questions and being engaged adds so much energy to my workday and what I do, and I love that part about this field. You've got 31 clubs, almost all of them are practicing each week. Probably half or just under that are competing most weekends. So there's so much going on. There's so much they're trying to do that it adds that energy to my workday in the office and makes every day feel so valuable and so much gets done. But it does make being productive and being an administrator more difficult because you don't have a ton of time to be on email. You don't have a ton of time to get your own work done. So for me, how I manage that is I try and get in the office pretty early and handle a lot of my emails, a lot of my personal stuff I have to get done for the workday. Because let's be honest, students aren't really going to come in a lot of times before maybe 10 a.m. So then a lot of my afternoons are meeting with students, meeting with clubs, having hiring committees come together, whatever it is. So that's kind of how I manage that, and I want to have those afternoons open for students, especially like leading up to practice. If they're all practicing at 5 or 6, I want to be available for them at 3, 4, 5 o'clock, so they can come in right before practice, ask questions, meet with me, and then make it easier for them to go from class to meeting with me to practice, instead of having them come in the morning or when they're not able to. So that's how I manage it. I use Outlook really heavily. I share it with my club officers, so they can, when they schedule meetings with me, they can schedule right on there and know when I'm available and know when I'm not available. And I would do that with this small group of student employees as well, the 8 or so students. I would use Outlook heavily with them. Last question, why do I believe I'm the best candidate for your position? I've made sport clubs the focal point of my 2 years as a graduate assistant, and I hopefully get to do that moving forward wherever I end up. I love clubs. Like I said, I think they have this huge potential within recreation and within student development. All of our students coming in are more likely to be able to have played sports all the way through high school, and they're less likely to want to stop once they get to college. And since varsity athletics isn't expanding too much, they're going to come to clubs, and clubs are going to keep growing and growing. I've led the budget allocation process both my years at GA. I restarted our sport club council here to be a group that is that student governing body for clubs and handles discipline, handles funding, handles emergency funding requests, handles just adding value to the club program as a whole with getting sponsorships and running the banquet for all club members and expanding the marketing and recruiting for our clubs. I've also made it a point to work with difficult clubs. I work with our horse pole and men's ice hockey clubs, 2 clubs that both travel at least 30 minutes off campus just to practice, and a lot of expenses coming in from horse care providers, farriers, vets. On the hockey side, it's all the rinks they rent to practice and play in, all the officials. So those are 2 of our most active clubs, and those have been 2 of the clubs I worked with as a GA. So yeah, I love clubs. I'm excited. I was excited to hear all about your program at NERSA. I'm excited to read more about it just today when I was researching for this video. And thank you all for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you.